The Liberal Party has made it harder to remove a sitting Prime Minister 4 months after ousting Malcolm Turnbull from the nation's top job. Mr Turnbull has welcomed the surprise move, which would have stopped him from being rolled, but he's warned those within the party keen to destabilise a leader will likely continue to do so. From Canberra, political reporter Matthew Doran.
The narrow, winding streets of Point Piper are fertile hunting grounds for hungry media. Even if former Prime Ministers don't particularly want to stop and have a natter, like they did yesterday.
Yesterday I was criticised for having a doorstop outside my house. So just want everyone to understand that I'm making my way to the ferry and you are effectively, you're accompanying me, so I don't have a lot of choice in talking to you.
Tonight, our party made an historic decision.
A snap evening meeting of his former Liberal colleagues to make it harder for his successors to suffer the same political fate has piqued Mr Turnbull's interest.
How disappointed are you?
2/3 of the Liberal Party room will need to be in favour of a spill to unseat a sitting Prime Minister.
Now, in my experience around this place, such a majority is rarely, if ever, achieved when it comes to these matters.
People will welcome the prospect of there being fewer or less of the sort of revolving door prime ministership.
Essentially, it's a very sensible move from the Prime Minister and I fully support it.
Under these new rules, your job could have been saved. Do you wish you had implemented them?
Look, that was then, this is now.
The new rules echo those put in place by the Labor Party after their series of coups, although they don't apply when the Liberals are in opposition. Nor do they apply to Scott Morrison because he hasn't led the party to electoral victory.
I think Australians will very much support the fact that the Liberal Party recognises that they're the ones who should be in charge. It is the biggest change to how our party deals with these issues in 74 years.
A big change, but sprung on Liberals, some annoyed they had less than 30 minutes notice of the snap meeting.
Nothing says stability like an emergency meeting of the Liberal Party in the dead of night.
Despite questions about how quickly this rule change was announced, it does give Scott Morrison a chance to take back some control over the last few days in this final sitting week, particularly with significant policy arguments continuing. Negotiations between the government and opposition over new encryption legislation continues.
Labor's up for passing this bill. We just need to get the details of it right.
And the government's due to announce tweaks to its so-called big stick energy policy, handing power to force big companies to sell off assets to a court rather than the Treasurer in a bid to make it more palatable.
This ridiculous policy, this Venezuelan-style intervention.
Meanwhile, the advice keeps flowing on power.
I've strongly encouraged my colleagues to work together to revive the National Energy Guarantee.
From a man hoping he gets some respite on tomorrow's walk to the office.
Thank you so much.
Private citizen Turnbull.
Yeah, righto.
Matthew Doran, ABC News, Canberra.